Hi everybody, this is Lee from Fresh Astrology. We are talking about April 2017. So what I notice here for April is there's this prominent theme of air. The air signs have a little domination thing going on. And also the planets that are affiliated with air signs are doing some interesting things. So that's what I'm going to talk about sign from sign. We're going to go kind of over what's going on with air activity and some of the planets associated with the air signs, what's going on with them, because that's where I see some interest that's unique for April. And we've got a lot of retrograde motion, so that's going to be taken into account. It's definitely not a month to charge ahead in all areas of life. It's a month more to allow things to take their own time and to allow for some thinking and planning and review and brainstorming, allowing things to take some time so that you can come to decision, allowing other people to talk to you, allowing yourself to listen to others, trying to get other people to listen to you as well, if that's a piece of it. You get to say, you don't have to stay silent. Maybe there's a message, something you need to say. Some of you more than others, but so some people would do better listening and some people would do better making sure they speak up. But communication is key, and there's this opportunity. What I see, I want to, like at first I was going to say there's a lot of luck here in the air signs, but I would say more it's an opportunity opening up for communication to flow. So that's really what I see for everybody. And it's the quality of air in astrology. Kind of a quick way to think of it is that it is thinking. It's of the brain. It's of the mind. Classically, the air signs were thought to be masculine, because only the masculine could be associated with the brain activity, which I do not buy into at all. I don't think even men buy into. Most men don't buy into that either. And everybody's chart, whether you're a man or a woman, you all have the same three air signs impacting you. So astrology is a level playing field. If anything, it really, I don't know how people could be elitist and be astrologers at the same time, because you look at everybody's chart and it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman or how much money you have, everybody's got this level playing field of their chart. But classically, it was sort of a masculine ideal. In air, it's kind of what shoots outward, gets a little bit into sexual imagery, but, whereas earth was, Mother Earth, and water is more associated with the earth and could be more feminine. And fire was, very masculine, kind of a masculine energy. But I guess that's neither here nor there, but yeah, in full disclosure. But it's thought to be of the mind. And so I think the way to look at it on a practical level in your life is this is what's engaging your mind at this time. This is where you'll find your thoughts may be preoccupied with some of these themes that we'll talk about, or you get some brilliant insight and some new ideas by reviewing and revising, allowing time to play out as you make up your mind maybe about something. There's going to be a change of direction, maybe even several changes of direction throughout this month because of the retrograde, because of the interaction with Uranus, which has this electric quality and also a sudden change. And we also have Venus retrograde going from a fire sign to a water sign. What's that about? And so we'll see those themes setting up. And it's a great time. I'd say, definitely take every opportunity to communicate. Don't cut off communication. Some people, like, I had somebody say to me the other day, well, I didn't want to call you because I didn't want to worry you. And I was like, what? Don't do stuff like that. Communicate. It's really important, especially over April. Of course, I've done that too, where I haven't called somebody or communicated something because I didn't want to worry it. So I'm like, pot calling the kettle black. But this is not the month to do that. This is the month to communicate and go back over whatever needs to be gone over. Okay, so now we're going to go sign by sign. Hi, Aries. So we're looking at your April 2017. So in the first 5 minutes, I discussed the quality of the air signs because this month has a lot of air quality to it, meaning air sign themes, and kind of the feeling of the month has this air quality. Because it's not just the air sign activity, it's also the planets associated with the air signs are doing some interesting things. And it really kind of bookends the month and moves through the month too. So what does that mean? Go to the first 5 minutes to get the generality on it, but for you specifically, this has a lot to do with partnerships. So these would be business partnerships and love partnerships where somebody from the past may come back to go or try to come back into your life. So a past love interest may, come back, or maybe you're going through it in your mind, but there's a tendency really for somebody to come back and to have several changes of mind throughout the month. It's hard for it to just settle. and maybe the person comes back and it's good. Sometimes that's the case. You do have Jupiter in your opposite sign in retrograde as well. So we have Mercury retrograde, Venus is retrograde through part of the month, and we have Jupiter retrograde. So there's a lot of retrograde action. So if a relationship's been in a dying phase, it's like it just can't quite end as the way it may feel for some of you. Like it can't end. Like it's hard to break away completely. And this could be from a business relationship and a love relationship. So an old business relationship, you may find that it's like really hard to move forward and completely leave it behind. Maybe there's loose ends. Maybe people are still reaching out to you. May feel like that. Same thing in love. May feel like people won't quite let things end. And that's just been going on. I don't know your personal situation. I don't know if it's right to get back into the relationship. I don't know if it's wrong to get back into the relationship. I would say this is a month of reviewing and allowing time to unfold. And it's not, the air signs are a little bit removed. They're all about assessing things. And it's not so much about engaging on a passionate level. It's not to say that, like, for people out there dating and the relationship's fine. If you have a healthy relationship, it's not dying, it's not something from the past, then it's more about engaging, getting on the same page, the two of you, getting on the same page, brainstorming something, like maybe you're getting married and you're brainstorming the wedding. Maybe you've got to decide what to do with your future, like are we moving in together? Are we moving to a different state? Are we going to have children? Are we not going to? What are we going to do with the children? The kinds of things couples think about together. So there's some big issues that impact your future that you need to go over, and you need to allow some time for people to have their say and to talk. It's not going to be hashed out in one conversation. Is definitely would definitely be true, or don't think it will be hashed out all in one conversation. I think Aries, sometimes you want to have the conversation and it's done. It may be a little taxing for you this month because you can't just have the conversation and have it be done. You've got to have several conversations about whatever it is. And you may find somebody changes their mind, you change your mind suddenly, in the month, like by the end of the month, suddenly you have an insight or a change of heart, change of mind. And again, it's business and love. So that's sort of what I see for you. There may be a trip at the end of the month. And you may be in contact with people from the past. Always under any retrograde, there could be people from the past, especially with the personal planets. So there's that retrograde stuff going on too. But it's definitely the time to let the conversations continue. Don't think it's all going to be wrapped up in a neat bow during this month. And it's just a certain kind of patience that Aries isn't famous for, although you can be patient. I know a lot of Aries. I like Aries a lot. I have a lot of good friends. Like some of my best friends are Aries or have a lot of Aries in their chart. So, definitely like you guys. But you're maybe not known for your patience. um, so anyway, have a great month. Allow things to unfold. Just allow some time. Allow for any setbacks. Allow for a change of mind. In yourself and in others, and just let it happen, because it's taking you to the right place. All the talks, all the thinking, all the revision, all the review, even changes, big changes, they're taking you to the right place, and just try to trust that process. All right, take care. Hi Taurus, so we're looking at April 2017, and if you go to the first 5 minutes, I talk more in generalities about the air signs. There's a lot of air quality stuff going on, even though this isn't an air time of year. We're moving from kind of a fire energy to earth energy, and that's certainly there. We have the sun moving from Aries to Taurus, and happy birthday. And we have a lot of activity in the fire and earth area of the chart, kind of where you are in the chart. But there's this overall emphasis on air. And so for you, where that hits a Taurus chart, it hits across 3 areas of the chart that can mean a lot about your area of work, what you do for a living, your career direction. So it just depends on how old you are, what's going on in your life. Another theme that we can see here, especially in the 6th house area of the chart, where you have Libra, one of the air signs. And also because Libra's in the 6th house, and Venus retrograde, the planet Venus is affiliated with Libra, is over here in your 12th house area. And it's going to change motion in April. There could be, for a lot of Taurus people, there could be a person who's under the weather during the month of April, or they're on your mind because of their wellness. So maybe they're okay, but you're preoccupied with someone's wellness, possibly a female. If it's not a female, it's just somebody with a lot of Venus characteristic in their personality. Maybe it's a Libra or a Taurus, another Taurus. Sometimes this is you. Maybe you need to consider your own wellness and what's best for your own well-being. So some of the thinking and review during this month could be about your own wellness picture, and what is it going to take? What do you really need? And especially in your career, as it relates to your schedule, your daily work, there's probably an environment that's more healthy for you than another environment. Like some people, it's fine working in a cubicle is just fine with no windows. But for you, maybe that's just like a death sentence. Maybe your schedule doesn't allow enough downtime. Maybe your schedule doesn't allow you to do other things to attend to your health, just basics like sleep and exercise, or eating a balanced diet. It's hard for you because of your work schedule. So there could be personal wellness things to consider for you this month. And it's not the month necessarily to go charging off on some new plan, and in fact, if you do start something this month of April, you're likely to change and not continue. So I think this is really a month to just notice what you think you need for your own well-being and wellness at work. Like, how does your work life impact your health and your sense of happiness? Questions like that are really good to consider this month and do some personal work on. It occurs to me, I should tell you, I'm a life coach now. I've been going through the Martha Beck School of Life Coaching, and this is a great life coaching question, to help somebody. So I'll offer that to you if you want. You can go to my website and sign up for a life coaching session. But because this is the perfect question for a life coach is, how do I make my practical life merge with what I really need and want? So those are great questions to ask a life coach. But anyway, I digress. But you can ask yourself these questions and work on it yourself. But it's also, there's this highlighted need for improved communication. There are opportunities for communication. So it's a great time to talk to your boss about getting better hours for you, or talk to your boss about working one day at home or something. So if that's your issue, you do have some opportunity to communicate your needs. You may need to take some extra time off just to rest or go away on some little mini breaks to recharge. And I do think a lot of you, if you allow yourself to slow down and just use this month to kind of reflect and review and think about and consider, if you take this adequate time, and maybe including some, enough downtime where you can be reflective and contemplative, that you will get some brilliant insight by the end of the month. You'll really come up with something. It could be a great business idea, a health idea, any old idea, but there'll be, I think, some real brilliant insight for a lot of Taurus people this month. So enjoy. That'll be interesting. I'd love to hear what it is. All right, take care. Hi, Gemini. So we're talking about your April 2017. And you're an air sign, in case you didn't know, and this is a very active month for air signs. Now, by active, I don't mean physically necessarily, but mentally active, and kind of a pivotal month for a lot of air signs. So let's look at your chart to see kind of how this is impacting you. Because you are an air sign, your fellow signs will always hit your 5th house and your 9th house. So it could be for a lot of Geminis that there's a lot of a big theme around your children, if you have them, if you're planning to have them. So it could be a time when you think about having a child, you go back to the idea of having a child, or if you have children, there could be some plans being discussed for the future, kind of changes of direction throughout this month. I would advise everyone, because there's so much retrograde activity, this is a month to allow things to unfold slowly and to have lots and lots of communication, lots and lots of open communication. There could be something for Geminis that's been under your skin, getting to you. You may have been holding back on something. It could be an issue to do with money. So I'm not advising, when I say this, that you go out and attack someone verbally. It's really a time to use the tools of communication, and you're so gifted with communication strength. Use the tools of communication to say what's on your mind and on your heart. So, it's what's on your heart, where it come from your heart. Especially when speaking to children, you may need to more assertively say what's on your heart and on your mind too. So because of the position here, if it is about children, and don't worry, if you don't have children, we'll talk about that too, but if it is about children, it could be about where they're going to school, especially if they're planning for college, or something about travel, something about people who are different from you, from them, how to talk about differences, having conversations about differences, cultural difference is maybe a big theme, or where to travel, or where you're going to school. If you don't have children, it's not about children. It could be about where you are traveling and going to school. One or the other, or both. Are you thinking about going back to school? Are you planning travel? Are you going on a big trip? Are you engaged in a big publication project? Are you publishing something? Are you writing something? Are you doing something creative that's very meaningful for you? You may find that your future turns on a dime, maybe with some brilliant insight. It could be a friend or a person of influence suddenly notices you or helps you turn your future around. It could be related to some kind of creative thing you do, or it could be related to a child, but it could be related, it actually could even have to do with investing your money, how to invest your money for the future. But somebody could come back from your past. It could be an old friend, an old colleague, who may help you solve a problem that you're working on. But there's going to be a huge shift for you this month in terms of mapping out your future. So your future mapping and what you think. So as April begins, you may think up until that point your future looks one way, or the future for your family looks one way, the future of your romantic life looks one way, the future of your creative life looks one way, and then by the end of April it's completely different. And we don't know why, because Uranus is involved and it's totally a shocker. So something could totally change for you. And there's an element of luck, so I wouldn't be scared of this change, but kind of be allowing for a flow of ideas, a flow of communication, and some changes in plan. So have a great April. Take care. Hi Cancer, we are talking about April 2017. In the first 5 minutes, I kind of review air signs and the quality of air signs, because this is very relevant for everybody this month. So if you want more of that, go listen to the first 5 minutes. Now, so we'll be looking at the air signs, where they hit your chart, and the planets associated with the air signs and what they're up to. For you guys, the air signs hit your the 12th house, the 4th house, and the 8th house. And these areas of the chart have, more broadly, if you want to link all three of them, they have to do with your psychological health and well-being. And so the suggestion here, and there are a lot, so much retrograde activity going on this month, and changes of direction. So there's a psychological thing going on for you that it's been going on since Jupiter got into Libra, which is in your 4th house. So it's how you look at your past, how your family influences your decision making, how your family influences your ideas around money and success and power structures. And maybe understanding, hopefully, at its best, this sort of activity would show you more about how your past influences your present and how you can release that. It's great to have that understanding, but maybe it's time to move on from it, to be free of anything that hindered you. It's not that you need to be free of your family. Maybe you love your family, but there could be psychological issues from the past that have been impacting how you think about your own success. So what else is triggered here are two of the planets associated with air signs, Mercury and Uranus, meet by the end of the month under a Mercury retrograde, at the same time that Venus retrograde will have turned around and is kind of on this cusp between Aries and Pisces. So this area of your chart where those things are going on has a lot to do with your career direction and your career success. So definitely this is a month where it's important to understand and reflect upon through the month that your past conditioning is absolutely part and parcel with how you've gotten to where you are now, both in a positive way and in a negative way. And the more awareness you have about your past conditioning and how you carry it around with you or don't, some people release their past and let things go. Some people have more awareness than others about how they're conditioned. This is a great month to be more aware of conditioning and how your mind impacts what you do each day. And what mind stories are you telling yourself about why you're not further than you are, or why you can't move further, or why you can't be successful, or why you're not as far along as you'd like, or why this, why that? Listen to the stories that you tell yourself this month. And so I'm not even asking you really to change the stories necessarily, but just develop an awareness this month about what you tell yourself about success or lack thereof, or about who you are in your career and financially. Just at least start to develop an awareness or further your awareness. This is not so much an action month as it is a month to reassess, review, and have some mental activity, or notice your mental activity. Notice the mental activity. And it's also a good time to be in conversation and open the flow of communication. So that theme is also very strong. So it's time to communicate and review and go over and brainstorm. Review your message. Further develop your message. Listen to others. Allow other people to talk to you. All right, take care. Hi Leo, we are in April 2017, and in the first 5 minutes I talk a lot about air energy because that is a quality I'm seeing this month for everybody. So I'm looking at where the air signs hit your chart, and also what's going on with the planets affiliated with air signs, what's going on with them. We have a lot of retrograde motion, change of direction this month, so I think there's some changes of direction this month, and some revising, people from the past, themes from the past. And on a Leo chart, let's take a look. On a Leo chart, the air signs are hitting your 7th house of relationship, your 11th house of future direction, influential friends, philanthropic activity, social activism to some degree, your online activity to some degree, but future planning, I would say, is indicated there. And also your 3rd house, this is how your mind works. This is how your kind of your early conditioning, not from your family, but from school and friends and, some family, like siblings, cousins, your peers who were in your family. It's just early conditioning, and we wrap back around through, so it's not just the conditioning you had when you were like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, but planets will every so often come through here and re-energize this area. And currently for Leos, you've got Jupiter here kind of kicking up some dust in this area of early conditioning and asking you to release some of it and to open your mind up and be a little flexible and absorbing some new conditioning. So a lot of you may have been on some kind of learning pathway this year, or maybe you will, maybe in April something gets more intensified. But this has been a year for Leos. It's 2018, but the end of 2018. That is interesting. I'll have to think about that. So 2017 and the end of 2016, we've had Jupiter here. Jupiter is now retrograde. So it's kind of like maybe you've been intensely learning something. Some of you may have children who are in like elementary school age or middle school or high school even. But so some of you may be dealing a lot with that. Kids in school, just on a practical level. But for you personally, this is the willingness to increase your mental activity to learn something new. It's like laying another foundation of conditioning down to maybe replace or enhance your earlier conditioning. So it's an opportunity here, and it's also an opportunity to develop communication skills. So a lot of Leos can be working on their communication skills. So that's been a theme, I think, in April. The way you communicate, perhaps with partners, either in love or in work, can influence your future greatly at this time. So really working on these mental skills, these conditioning skills, this new way of communicating, this new way of thinking, really being aware of this and how it can enhance the way you relate to others and work with others. Understanding you have new tools in your toolbox, and they have a lot to do with how you think and how you communicate. This can really open up your future. At the end of the month, there's this kind of stunning conjunction with a Mercury retrograde and Uranus, two planets that have a lot to do with air signs and the qualities of the mind. So there may be some kind of brilliant message, brilliant marketing idea, brilliant publishing idea, brilliant something to do with language, like, or maybe you're a public speaker and you really can refine something over this month, really refine your messaging. So this can apply to your formal career, or maybe it's just a personal skill, like what is that thing people go to learn how to speak publicly? Toastmasters. Maybe some of you could be doing something like that, refining how you speak in public. And there are some financial implications here. So in parallel to all this communication stuff, and maybe moving your career forward, there could be like some money, you're fixing some kind of money situation, some money may come back in as a result of stuff you did. It's tax time in the US, so it could be working on getting some money that needs to come back to you. Some people could be getting a raise. There could be a little money coming into, coming back to you, is the way I want to say it. So there could be that theme. It may not be related to the communication messaging stuff at all, or it could be, I don't know, but that's also going on. And definitely people coming back from the past. How far into the past, I don't know. It could be recent past, or somebody maybe you didn't think you'd see again, but they show up with a message or a trip idea, or they come in from out of town, or you go to visit them or something. But there are these people from the past who are really impacting how you think about life in general, how you think about yourself, how you think about where you're going now. Your future direction is altered because of these people. They could be old schoolmates. They could be people, maybe you lived in a different place before and they're from there, or I don't know. I had something else and I lost it. But anyway, I would say the biggest thing here is to know that your mind is supposed to be a sponge now, and to kind of make yourself available for enhanced learning. Make yourself aware of the fact that your mind is really a good sponge right now, and be ready for some brilliant insight or a big change, like your career going off in a direction you didn't foresee, but knowing that that might be okay, because there's a lot of luck involved here. So your future is really starting to possibly turn in a very new, distinct direction. It may not be totally new, but very distinct, a very kind of electric decision or pathway forward, something very sudden and clear, that you may be gaining some clarity over the month. And it leads you to a place that was a bit unexpected. But I would just try to be kind of loose and aware that things are changing quickly. Like it's like the surface of the water is changing quickly this month. Yeah. All right. Take care. Hi Virgo, we are talking about April 2017, and there's a big air sign theme and planets that have to do with air signs. So if you want a little bit more on that, listen to the first 5 minutes of this whole video. And so we're looking at where the air signs hit your chart, and also where the planets are affiliated with the air signs, what are they up to. We have lots of retrograde motion, including one of your patron planets. Mercury is in retrograde, so let's look at that. So here we go. All right. This has a lot to do with your career. There's some big, um, there may be a review going on, like maybe you're reviewing what you want to do. You may be reviewing a position that you want to take or don't want to take. You may be in certain jobs, people do get reviews. There may be some review going on, a reassessment of some sort, and there may be a financial decision to make, or a financial news by the end of the month that has to do with earning and spending. So it could be multi-layered. There could be tax implications, real estate implications, school implications, or it could just be about, how you earn and spend money and what kind of money. You may have some brilliant insight into some way to earn money quickly or electronically, or a radical new idea that it's like this brilliant financial insight, kind of a stroke of genius about how to earn money. Could be on the cards, I guess I should say, for Virgo. But it really doesn't come until the end of the month, and it's not time to charge forward with any plans right now. It's really the time to brainstorm and review your ideas and rethink some things, rethink maybe a business plan or structure, because there may be some a real stroke of genius at the end of the month, and it has to do with your financial picture. So it might not be about earning money. It could be a great investment insight, or deciding to invest your money. I would say with Pluto, you want to use something that is more likely to, if it's about investment, it's better to go with something slow and steady and kind of powerful on a deeper level. So it's not about the quick, easy money in terms of investing your money. Go for the long game in investment. But in terms of earning money, there's a great way to capture money for Virgos this year. It may not be that the money's pouring in April. I think this is really more about plans and mental activity and idea formation and some brilliant insight by the end of the month. Also, with all the retrograde planets, there could be people in here with you. It may not be you all by yourself. It may be, but it could be that there are other people around. Definitely people from the past. Old love interests can float in and out. Old business partners can float around. It doesn't mean that they are necessarily the biggest story, but it's just the kind of thing you notice under retrogrades, that people from the past crop up. They may or may not influence you that much. What's bigger here is there is a big story going on for Virgos in their career direction, and some kind of brilliant insight that you're able to develop this month by allowing yourself to do the mental work, doing some re-envisioning, doing some brainstorming. I don't know what other words to give to it, but allowing some ideas, new ideas to emerge, and allowing yourself to take your time. But for a lot of you, it's a lot to do with money. Underneath that, there's this quality of communication. So communicating your ideas, communicating at least with yourself. So that means slowing down enough so that you can have a conversation with yourself, or maybe write down some pros and cons to some ideas you're having, do some mental exercises that help you kind of open up ideas. What I mean by that is you can do a lot of self-help by reading books about how to do these things, how to open up your mind, and do some exercises that help you get new ideas. I've been training to be a life coach over this past year, so that's territory of life coaching. So if you want to take advantage of that with me, go to my website or email me and let me know. because that's the kind of thing we work on, is how to get from point A to point B, how to open up our minds a little bit and gain some clarity, or let the ideas flow in a little more freely. That's perfect for life coaching if you're interested. But you can do it on your own. Like, you can go through me and work with me, or you could get some books and do some exercises all by yourself. But it's a great time for it. April's a really good time for that. So yeah, have fun with that, and I want to hear about everybody's brilliant insight about your new money making scheme. That's really fun. All right, take care. Hi Libra, we are talking about April 2017, and there's a lot going on for the air signs in the areas of our chart where air signs are hitting. And so by hitting, I mean, if you look at a chart, it's a circle. It looks like a pizza with 12 slices. And there are 3 air signs. And so those are 3 of the slices of your pizza pie birth chart. So Libra, for you, I mean, you've got Jupiter in your sign, and Jupiter's retrograde currently. So a lot of Libras have been hopefully feeling the benefits of having Jupiter. It doesn't, I mean, it can, but it doesn't necessarily mean that all areas of your life are perfect. But it begins to turn the tide and bring a little more luck, especially if you've been really bereft of luck. It will turn the tide a little bit in your favor in many cases, if not, not all necessarily, but it's a bit like a fairy tale in the sense that where there's been no magic, a little magic starts to happen. So it may feel slow, or like it's still just a little bit, or like a little bit of luck, or it may feel like, wow, my life is really turning around. I don't know. It just depends on the Libra. There are going to be people out there who, still have a disease, or still have tough situations. They're just going to be people like that still have some tough situations. What I would say to you is try to practice the art of noticing the good. Try to practice the art of noticing what's going well for you, and that will help fine-tune your awareness too to what actually is going well, what has changed in a good way. So in addition to that, Libra, this area of Aries is being activated. Aries occupies your 7th house. So a lot of Libras are getting, a lot of activity going on here. So for a single Libra, this is a great time to date. You may notice that you're getting a little more active, and if you're on a dating website, then you may be getting more activity than you've had in a while. It's kind of exciting. There may be some people coming in from the past love interests, and it may not even be like a long-term person, but you may have just a lot of activity here, including people from the past. So that's for the single Libra. If you're in a relationship that's a long-term relationship, the activity is really about communication and gaining insight and getting on the same page with somebody. And you may find, if maybe you're in couples therapy, or maybe you are trying to work on the relationship a little bit, or maybe there's just you guys are very mentally engaged this month, and there's some brilliant insight. Maybe you get some brilliant insight into your partner, or your partner gets some brilliant insight into you. And it's a time to really connect with people. So I think it's great for whether you're single or with someone. It's a great time to really connect. But it involves really tuning into communication skills for both of you. So it can't just be that you sharpen yours and the other person is like clueless. I mean, it's a great time for people to interact. So encourage communication, the back and forth, the two-way communication is what I should say. And then I think you might really hit on something toward the end of the month. Maybe it's an awareness, it could be very internal. It could be between the two of you, or for a single Libra, it may be like, wow, I've really found somebody I like. That's really neat. And then Venus is just hanging out on this cusp between the 6th and 7th house. So I think it's a great time for a single Libra, actually. And for the married Libra, it just depends on what's going on in your relationship. I would say if you're in a struggling relationship, some of the aha moments may be around ending the relationship for some people, but it has a lucky feel to it, because this is your lucky year. So it may be that you needed this boost of Jupiter to give you the confidence, help you with your awareness of yourself and your own needs. There's a reason why it's happening now, and it's timing with Jupiter, so it has a lucky feel to it. I don't think April is a time to rush into any big decisions, but you may have a huge awareness by the end of April. Use April to let things kind of unfold. I wouldn't make any huge decisions at this time, but allow, the people to come in. If you're single, allow yourself to entertain new potential, love interests, and allow yourself to have time to review and communicate with somebody you're in relationship. And for some people, this could just be in business. So it may not be in love, and you may be frustrated if nothing great's going on in your love life or no big action. You may think, well, that's not true. But this could be in business. That there's a meeting of the minds or a big change. So the aha moment, kind of the zing of Uranus, could be realizing that you finally hit on a connection with a business partner. Like maybe you're trying to close a deal and you finally get to the right way to communicate something. Or it could be the realization you can't talk to this person anymore and you just gotta do something else. Now, if none of that seems to be happening for you, you may just be operating from a different part of your chart. Like maybe if Libra is your sun sign, maybe your moon sign is more dominant at this time, or your rising sign. But some of this stuff your whole chart can be very psychological. So within your own mind, we have dialogues going on, and we have monologues, dialogues, we have group discussions going on in our own psyche. And so if this is all very internal, it's about you being able to see something about yourself from the point of view, from a little bit of a distance, getting a flash insight into how you are. Maybe in the way you communicate, maybe in the way you think, maybe in the way you come across. So if this is all very private and internal, maybe this is you understanding something about the way you communicate and are heard by others, heard or not heard. You may gain some insight there, which will also be very helpful in your external relationships. But sometimes all this stuff is all happening inside of you. So, and ideas, so this, if it's all inside, it's ideas from the past, going over the past, and then hopefully by the end of the month gaining some insight into yourself. So have fun with that. All right, take care. Hi Scorpio, this is Lee from Fresh Astrology. We are looking at April 2017. So in the first 5 minutes of this video, I talk a little bit more about the earth signs. There's definitely a lot of earth sign implication here for the month. So that's what I'm focusing on this month. For the water signs, did I say earth? Sometimes I just don't even know what I said. So I'm going to start again because I may have said it the wrong way. And because I do these all in one piece and I don't want to edit, I'm just going to self-correct here. I may have said it the wrong way, so I'm going to self-correct. For the water signs, the air signs, which are active this month, impact kind of your psychological conditioning. And the air signs are occupying your 12th house in a classical sense for Scorpio. It's Libra in your 12th. It is Aquarius in the 4th, and it is Gemini in the 8th. So that's where they are. Somebody asked me to review the houses. I can't do a whole lesson in these, or they get really long. But for all the water signs, the air signs hit these psychological areas. And each house has other more mundane and practical living themes, symbolism associated with it. But overall, we're looking at psychological conditioning when all of these are activated. And what's also happening is the planets that are affiliated with these air signs are also doing some very interesting things. All this activity for you guys happens to be around, kind of buzzing around your 6th house of health. So I would say that there's some health themes going on for you. It could be because of the Venus retrograde. It could be a daughter or a female person around you who has had some health issues. It could be you, if you are a female. It could be you who've had some issues. And you also have Jupiter back in your 12th house, which definitely will make the mind active, but it also does really wonderful things. It makes your spiritual life and your understanding of the world and the universe and the bigger stuff out there, what's bigger than us. It gives you this bigger awareness of that. So sometimes Jupiter in the 12th house is really fun. But at the same time, what I see here is definitely a need to attend to health of somebody or you, maybe both. So this health house is very much activated, and by the end of April, there's a big awareness. Maybe you learn something like, oh, this is why I've had these symptoms. Maybe you communicate or read enough or do enough research or go back for a second opinion, and you finally understand something about a health issue that you've been having or someone else has been having. There are definitely people from the past coming in here. It could be a past doctor, a past love interest, old business partners. There are a lot of people around you. So I get the feeling that if there is a health issue, you have help. You're not alone in this, whatever it is. So if it's a person in your life, you've got a lot of people helping you with this person. You're not alone. So maybe it could be the nurses, could be doctors, it could be other practitioners, it could be people in your family. I don't know. It's going to be very unique to each person, but if there are health issues, there are a lot of people available. There's a lot of energy available to help. So one should not be isolated at this time. It's a great time for communication, so make use of all this communicating energy. It's a time to communicate your own thoughts, a time to communicate about money, a time to communicate about scheduling concerns or scheduling issues. They may not be concerns. But I get the feeling that a lot of you need to rethink your schedule. And maybe even rethink some ideas you had about your own health, ideas you had about your schedule, and the way you were going to do something. Because there's a big change coming up at the end of April, and it may be in your schedule changes a lot, so it may have to do with what you do for work. Many of you, it's how you make a living and a financial change. Some of you, there's still somebody's health is under the magnifying glass. So I don't know if it's yours or someone else's, but that theme is there pretty prominently. If you work in a health profession, this could be a startling realization, like almost a genius insight about whatever it is you do that helps people heal or feel better. There could be some true genius activity here for those of you in medical research or trying to figure out, help people with wellness issues. So if that's part of what you do, then there's maybe a big moment for you coming up at the end of April. Sudden insight is the way it looks. So anyway, enjoy your month. I would say this is not a month to make huge decisions. It's a time to research and review. So allow things to move a little bit slowly and unfold. Allow the ideas to come in. Allow yourself to communicate, and allow other people to communicate with you. All right, take care. Hi Sagittarius, so we are talking about April 2017. We're looking at air sign activity, not just where the signs hit your chart, but also the planets that represent those signs when they move around. There's some interesting stuff happening with the planets affiliated with the air signs, so that's what I'm focusing on this month. And for you guys, the air signs hit. They cross the area of your chart that has to do with kind of your future direction with others. So it's your own future direction, but it's also very much tied into other people. So it's sometimes it's the people in your family and your friends. There is this idea of friends and big groups, but it's also partnerships that could be work partnerships, group partnerships, but also love. And so as I look around, I think a lot of Sagittarius people do have some love interest activity going on, especially if you're single. So I think there's a lot of stuff happening, so if you're a single Sagittarius, there are people around who are activating this area of the chart where a single Sagittarius could really find people floating in from the past and new prospects too. But I would say under all this retrograde energy, to allow things time to unfold. Just notice the activation, that more people, that there's this increase of activity. Notice it and just have an awareness around it. Notice the activity. Sometimes it's just an interesting way to learn how astrology works. Notice that there's this optimistic feeling about your future. Even though you have Saturn in your sign, and in the last bit, kind of that last piece where Saturn's at the end part of a person's sign before it's going to move on, this year, it's going to start to move on and enter Capricorn. But sometimes in this last bit with Saturn, it depends on how you've been working with Saturn. If you've been ignoring everything Saturn's been trying to get you to do to mature to the next level, then Saturn at this point might feel really hard. And if you've been trying to work on yourself and how you do things so that you mature to whatever level is the next level, it could be in your schoolwork and your love life, just where you need to mature and do your personal work. If you've been trying to develop yourself in some area or several areas, Saturn's more likely to try to show you how the work you've done is opening possibilities for you. So what I think a lot of you might be realizing over the end of March and into April is how opportunities are opening up in ways you didn't expect them to, because of all this retrograde motion and because of what's going to happen with Mercury retrograde and Uranus. Is the world can be opening up in some unexpected ways. And there are going to be some changes of heart, changes of mind going on. And I would say over April, allow things to unfold. If you don't have to make a big decision during April, don't do it. If it can wait until May or middle of May or June, I would wait. If you can't wait, I would say still try to wait. But if you can't, just know that you're making the best decision you can at this time. Sometimes that's all we can do. We can make the best decision at the time. It may not stick. It may need reworking later, but we had to do what we had to do. We had to make the best decision we could. So for a Sagittarius with a child, you may be making some big decisions about the future for that child. What do they want to be when they grow up? Where do they want to go to school? What friendships do you want to encourage? Like if you have a really young child, you kind of help them, find a healthy set of friends. Friends, they seem good for them, for some reason. Maybe, it just depends on your situation with your child. But, when they're younger, we try to find healthy groups of people for them to hang out with that give them a optimistic, good view on life. As a child ages, we have a lot less control over that. But there may be some social stuff going on for people with their children. And their child is kind of finding just as you're trying to find a new pathway for yourself, your children are finding these new pathways. You may feel, if your love life is activated, you may find your love life is opening up in ways you hadn't anticipated. You may have a change of heart about somebody. Or maybe somebody from the past, you may have a change of opinion. I would say, again, don't make any big decisions during this time, but it's a pretty significant change of mind because Uranus is involved and we've got Jupiter amplifying everything and all this retrograde energy. I think some people are meant to come in from the past because of what's going on. Often you'll hear astrologers and just even friends and family members saying if a past person comes into your love life, usually there's a reason it ended. Either you wanted to end it for certain reasons, or they did, or they left you badly, or so it's good to be cautious when a person comes in from the past because there is some reason it ended. But there are times when maybe. I don't know, you used to live in the same city, but one person had to take a job somewhere else. That's that situation where it's not really the two people, it was just circumstance that caused the relationship not to be able to move forward. Or sometimes there were just life circumstances that got in the way. So it's not always like the two people not getting along and then, there can be so many different cases. But it is good during the month of April to remain... neutral's not the right word because remain open to letting things unfold, not jumping to many conclusions, letting things kind of unfold surprisingly, because things will unfold surprisingly for some people in their love lives. Also with children, things will unfold surprisingly. If you're working on anything creative, there could be a big change, like a big moment of insight, a big change in how you want to develop it. Like the future of your creative project is going off in a wildly new direction. There's some genius insight to be had for artists, creative people, people writing books. We've got all this air sign and Mercury implicated here. So there could be some big new direction with creative work, which is very exciting. So that's kind of it. I think the main thing to remember is letting things unfold at their own pace. It's not the time to jump forward with anything. Knowing that there are going to be some big changes of mind going on with children, romantic partners, friends, and maybe a big change of direction for your future, actually. And just being willing to stay flexible and open to maybe something really good that you never imagined for yourself is opening up. All right, take care. Hi Capricorn, this is Lee from Fresh Astrology. We are looking at April 2017. I think at various times through this whole hour or so that I've been doing this, I've said 2018, I've said all kinds of funny things, but I'm preparing for the Mercury retrograde, I guess. Anyway, there's a lot of air sign activity, and the planets affiliated with the air signs are also doing some interesting things, so I'm focusing there. So for you guys, hold on, my chart just went smaller. The air signs hit the areas of your chart that have to do with your work life and how you earn money, how you set up your daily schedule, the general direction of your career. It's been a big career year for Capricorns. It could be that you're gaining some mastery, some level of leadership, some of you. It could be themes of Jupiter, because you've got Jupiter occupying Libra up at the top of your chart. So it could be legal. You've got a legal career. You've got a publishing career. But your career has been really growing and also taking on a new direction. Because Saturn's been in the 12th house, there could be some secret plans for this future direction. You may have had to really organize yourself and your schedule to make a lot of the stuff happen that you need to have happen. You may have needed to master something about your mind, organize yourself, discipline yourself somehow to do what you've been doing with your career direction. But it's a big pivotal time when kind of the future direction of where you're going has really opened up in a different, new way. During the month of April, it's not the time to do big starts. There's too much retrograde energy. So it's a great time to continue brainstorming and reviewing and revising and all things of the air sign, analyzing, trying to find balance. There may be a need to find balance in your daily schedule. I think, especially at the beginning of the month, you may have some sense of this, and maybe somebody who nurtures you, like a mother or a female, or just somebody very nurturing at the beginning of April, is actually helping you with this idea of balancing some of the stuff you're trying to do. Maybe you're trying to do too much, and you're going to get some, I think for some of you, the way it's going to come in is you get a gentle suggestion, maybe from your own body. Sometimes your body talks to you in a nurturing way, but the nurturing way is like a little symptom that says, hey, I need some attention, like fatigue or a sore muscle, or, there's like a symptom, and it's like gentle at first. It's not really bad. And then, so it's a reminder to take care of yourself. And then toward the end of the month, for those of you, if it's going to express itself this way, it'll be more like a sharp muscle pain, or like serious fatigue, or something a little more assertive if your body's talking to you. Some of you may need to really pay attention to and give some focus by the end of April to your schedule and how you're going to make all of this stuff happen, because you do have a lot of big stuff going on. Saturn in the 12th house, about to go into your sign, can feel tiring and like you need downtime. You need enough downtime to be able to recharge and do everything, because you're doing a lot. And there's a lot of stuff going on at home, and with moving possibly for some of you. There could be things going on with parents, things going on in your own home, all of the above, plus the need to move around. Sometimes people are just on the road, or they travel a lot for work. They may have teenagers in the house. All kinds of ways this can express itself, but some of you may need to, for your career to grow, so whether you're going off to school or you're taking on a new job, or just for your career to grow, however it's going to grow, whether you go to school or you change jobs, or you continue in your own job, or maybe it's your own company. For your career to grow, you may find you need to do something with your home base. It may involve a big move for some of you. It may involve working from home and maybe developing it. But you're going to have a big insight about how your home life interacts with your future of your career. So there's an interaction between those two things. And again, stuff going on with parents for some of you, if your parents are still alive. There's a sense of people from the past coming into the frame, people in your neighborhood, people from your family, people from the past kind of floating around, maybe trying to talk to you about something. So it could be parents trying to give you their opinion, or just people at home. So if your family trying to give you their opinion. Everybody's got an opinion. And but really, April is a time to allow people to talk. So it's a time for you to allow yourself to talk and to be heard, but also to listen to others. It doesn't mean you have to do what they say, but it is a good time for communication and the exchange of ideas. So I think all of us at times can be resistant to hearing other people's ideas because we don't want them to influence us, or we feel like they don't get us, or it feels like we're worried it's going to be negative. It's sometimes hard to know how to take in like what others say, and try to allow the flow of ideas this month as you take your time with this decision around where you live, future direction, because it's a big time for you. Lots and lots of personal changes. And in the meantime, be gentle with your health. Understand that underneath all of this is your health, and that's what supports you through all this. So it is important to schedule yourself properly, listen to little symptoms, listen to your body talking to you. All right, take care. Hi Aquarius, we are talking about April 2017, and you, if you don't know, are an air sign, and there's a lot of air sign activity and implication this month. Kind of the energy of the air sign is here, interacting more in a more pronounced way, I would say. And the planets that are affiliated with the air signs are also doing some pretty interesting things. So it's going to be more personal for the air signs, and that includes you. So let's take a look at what's going on here. And I would say that if you are planning to go to school, like to enhance your education in any way at a higher level. So it could be like a training program, but it often is going to university to get a bachelor's degree, a master's, a PhD, law degree for a lot of you because of the Jupiter occupying Libra up in your ninth house. There's a lot of school activity here for people where that applies. I think a lot of Aquarius people are learning a lot. They're on a heavy learning curve. There's also possibly a heavy commuting schedule, like you're having to travel for work or commute in an unusual way, in an unusual kind of schedule where it's pretty intense. You're moving back and forth a lot, either in the car or airplanes, but you're going back and forth. And it takes up a large part of your experience right now. There could be a big realization for a lot of Aquarius people by the end of the month that something needs to change in terms of your commute and how you commute. So that's a very practical way some of this can come about. The commute may have to do with children, may have to do with a creative project, may have to do with a romance, may have to do with school. I don't know why the commute, but it's clear by the end of the month that you want to make a decision about this. It may not be to end the commute, but it may be you need to do it differently or something. You may need a new car, you may need a new train route, you may need to do something different. But you'll have kind of an insight about that by the end of the month. And the whole month is about being open to rethinking, being open to suggestion, being open to the back and forth and exchange of ideas, being willing to listen, but also being willing to sharpen and perfect your message. By perfect, that's a difficult word, because I don't mean working on something until it's perfect. I mean, really just reviewing, doing some research, thinking about how you come across, thinking about the way your mind works and how you express yourself. So it may be in writing. There's some written words, there's spoken language and written word here. So if you're actively working on some kind of big project that involves the spoken or written word, this is a time of review, analysis, working on the symmetry of the ideas, the balance of ideas. Is your message, do you take in all sides when you consider something? So there's that. But I would say it's a great time to be planning. If you have any kind of business launch or marketing plan, it's a great time to be planning something like that. A great time to be actively planning a business launch, a marketing plan. It's just perfect for that. And it's big. I think there's a lot of luck involved here. If you take your time with it and allow a free flow of ideas, between and among the different parts of your own brain, because we all have these internal dialogues, and sometimes we cut ourselves off. Like, we won't let a certain part of ourselves talk and get any traction, and one part of our brain or psyche wants to dominate. It's a time to open up to all the dialogues going on within us, as well as externally. It doesn't mean you have to do what someone else says. People can get scared of feeling like they have to listen to someone else, because they think if they listen or have to listen, that means that opinion of the other person is somehow going to take control, like a choking vine, or like a snake or something is going to choke off them. So it's not bad to listen to other people's ideas. Sometimes by listening openly, we realize more about what we want, not because we're following what the other person said, but it helps us refine our own sense of what we want to do by listening to other people. It can be helpful. We can realize maybe little pieces of their advice might be useful, like just little bits. Maybe unintended bits of their advice might be useful. But it's definitely time to understand that the energy is there for reworking, reviewing, brainstorming, planning something that will launch in a verbal, written way. Or because of the legal implication, in a legal way, like maybe you're planning for a law case. If you're in the field of law, you would be planning for something if you're in law school. But there's also this idea of publishing. So if you're writing a book, this is a great time to go over planning all the details of how you lay out the book, or how you market yourself, how the book cover, what does that look like? How will you market and present yourself if you're, an author? But if it's, not legal and it's not publishing, it's just maybe planning for a big trip. Some of you may be planning for some kind of trip, which is very exciting and kind of, if it's a trip, it's not just any old trip. It's kind of a game changer kind of trip if you're planning a trip. If you're planning to move somewhere, it's kind of a game changer kind of move. If you're planning to go away to school, to higher education, it's a game changer. It's a big decision for you that really sets you off in a very different direction. Be prepared for changes of mind. Like if you are going to school and you thought you were going to go to the university, and I'm making stuff up, University of Iowa. I'm guessing there's a University of Iowa. So say that's where you wanted to go. You may find by the end of April that you're really going to go to the University of California. I don't know if that, maybe it's Southern California, I don't know. But you're going to really maybe have some surprises by the end of April in terms of schooling, commute distance. Like you thought you were going to go to school somewhere close to home, but you go further away, or you thought this big trip was going to be closer to home, but it's further away, or there are just big changes in your trip planning, or if your book, you thought you were going to market it one way or call it one thing, the title was going to be this one thing, it's really something else. You're going to allow yourself to go through these changes in this month. It'll turn out to be lucky. All right, take care. Hi Pisces, this is Lee from Fresh Astrology, and we are looking at April 2017, and there's a lot of air sign implication here. In the first 5 minutes of this video, I do a little more of an overview of air signs, if you want to listen to that, but I'm going to be looking at where they hit your chart, and also the planets associated with the air signs are doing some interesting things, so we're kind of looking there too. So for water signs, you're a water sign. The air signs occupy the three areas of your chart that have to do with your psyche. So from a larger kind of overall perspective, we're talking about psychological change and activity. And so I think let me just click over here. A lot of you, there's been this maybe an increased activity in maybe going to therapy or doing some work that's like therapy, so that you're really delving into maybe areas of your psychological landscape that maybe before now have been not so easy to delve into. So it's been a time in your life recently because of Jupiter's presence, because of Jupiter's presence, it both is a kind of, there's a need to go deeper into psychological stuff. It's asking you to, but there's also, it's easier and not as scary. So hopefully if you are delving in and kind of trying to look at yourself, it's not as scary and painful. We all need to do it. Jupiter helps you a little bit. So what's happening in April is there may be some financial themes and what you want to do for a living, how you want to earn money, and maybe how you spend money too. If you're getting into trouble spending money, or there's some problem with money, it's a good time to analyze and be open to your own patterns and how you shoot yourself in the foot sometimes, if that's the issue. It may not be the issue. Often Pisces are quite good with money. So a lot of you have a really good good head for business. But even if you have a good head for business, sometimes you can go off track with spending. You may be a little more optimistic about what you can spend sometimes. But all in all, I just want to make clear, Pisces have a gift with money itself. There's something about the language of money that a Pisces understands. It is a currency like water, water, you're the fish, the two fish kind of swirling in a current, and money is a currency. So there's something about that, the exchange of money, that a Pisces may just on a very deep intuitive level get. However, sometimes we still have expanded money issues that we have to deal with. But in general, with Jupiter here, there is the eventual ability to have a boost of income. Now, it may not be happening in April. In fact, a lot of things in April seem to be stalled out a little bit, and the retrograde is there, the stall out is there, so we can use our air sign mental activity to analyze, to review, to assess, to brainstorm what is happening financially. For you, I think it's financial. It's not for everybody. For you, I think there's this financial piece. And you may be assessing whether or not you want to stay in the same job. There may be a new role for you. So even if you're not changing companies, or your job title is the same, you may find there's a new role, there's a new opportunity for you opening up, that you're kind of taking a look at it in April, like, is this opportunity for me? What do I think about this opportunity? Should I follow this opportunity or not? Allow yourself to explore that. Try not to make a fast decision. Maybe by the end of April, you have a decision point. Now, it is Mercury retrograde. I think if you're going back to some old idea, you're revisiting an older idea about something you had, then you can go ahead and make that decision. If it's a totally new flash of genius insight, allow that flash to really resonate, write it down, journal it out, talk to people about it, but maybe not act on it immediately if you can help it. If you need to act on something around work, a work decision, a course correction or change in what you do to earn money, maybe in even how you spend money, if you need to make a change right at that moment, just understand that you're in a process of tweaking, and as you go, you're going to be tweaking this idea, whatever maybe it's an idea around saving money, maybe it's an idea for budgeting, maybe it's an idea for how you do your job. So just understand that if you make the decision and the course correction within this time frame of Mercury retrograde, it's okay if you're okay with that this is a process and you'll be course correcting over time, and that's okay. Then go for it. But I would encourage you to kind of allow April, move through April and most of May, letting these insights come to you, letting the ideas and letting the dialogue happen within yourself and with others about job change, job stuff, money, expenditures, how you're going to earn money. Try to remain open is the way I would fit it. But it does look like a lot of you have a big job shift happening. And some of you may be going off to school. A lot of you are taking on more leadership. So this is all building. And I think whatever's happening in April is kind of a decision point or a realization of some sort that will change. I think eventually we'll bring in all this positive change and this leadership. Stuff that's going on in April will eventually go there. I think April's just the time for information to flow back and forth, if that makes sense. So don't, let's see if there's anything else we want to add here. There are a lot of people around you right now who want to help you. There's a lot of beneficial energy here. People floating in from the past who want to give you advice, maybe. Maybe it's a good time to approach people from the past to get their advice. So there are a lot of people around you willing to help and people who you can go to for help. So keep that in mind too. All right, take care.